Har Har Gange and Namaskaram,
Namaskaram.
Sadhguru ji. Such a pleasure to have you right here at the Kumbh, and we're meeting after
Yes.
12 long months. Last year, before the Pran Pratishtha of Ram Mandir, and now this January 2025, we meet again.
Fantastic.
Sadhguru ji, you've been through ups and downs with your health. First and foremost, I want to ask you, you've gone through those medical challenges. How are you? Your viewers, followers want to know, Sadhguru ji, sab theek hai?
Everything is fantastic, and I went through 2 emergency surgeries, and well, I banged myself a little bit in the head. So
You banged it quite hard because the
Yes.
reports that we were hearing, really kept us breathless as well as
I've
worried.
been right through my life, all the things that I do, I've had innumerable injuries. Many fractures and injuries all along, right from my age of 10, 11, but never really cracked my head. So this was a graduation, kind of. But here I
It
am.
wasn't really a crack of the head. It wasn't an accident. So I want to ask you, you brush off everything lightly. There were some serious tense moments?
Maybe I gave tense moments to everybody, but for me, here also I am in Shiva's lap. If I cross the line also, there also I am in Shiva's lap. In terms of what I do spiritually, nothing will change. Maybe Save Soil movement will suffer, maybe schools will suffer a little bit, education and those kind of things, but I'm sure next generation of people will do it better than me.
This Kumbh is supposed to be a very auspicious Kumbh because it's the planetary movements are such that they happen once in 144 years. Can you break this down for the common man on what is so special about this Kumbh, and why is there so much of divinity around? And look at the following, look at the number of people here, the spirituality and just the astha that is breathtaking.
The Mahakumbh or the Kumbh is not something of recent origin, it's been on for millennia. There are many records of it way back, but one clearly written record is probably Yuan Song, the Chinese traveler who came. He says in those days, that's in 3rd century, which is 1700 years ago, he says there are over 500,000 people for the Mahakumbh at that time. 500,000 people 1700 years ago, when probably the country's population must have been 4-5 crores, I don't know. Because at the beginning of 1947, we were 33 crores. 1700 years ago, we could not have been 3 to 4 crores people. In that 500,000, 500,000 people coming for this. See, now UP government and of course our Yogi ji has given a massive call to people all over the world to come. But for these thousands of years, nobody gave a call. People just saw the calendar and they know this is the time to go. And they converged, spending their last penny. Today, UP's economy has multiplied. In the last 7 years, the per capita income has doubled from 47,000 to 94,000. So today you may see people are coming in better vehicles and stuff. When I came in 2001, I saw many people carrying their old mothers on their back. They've come to the railway station, from there is no transport for them. They're carrying them, old ladies on their back and coming, because the mother has wished she needs to take a dip before she dies or whatever. It's so incredible, and nobody gave a call. For thousands of years it's gone on, because this is the significance of this culture. People are not here to buy a ticket to heaven. They are not looking for the pleasures of the heaven. They are here for mukti, for liberation. There is no civilization on the planet which has looked at life this way. When I say looked at life this way, see, whatever we want in our lives, when you're in school you want one thing, when you go to college you want another thing, like this it goes on. But human intelligence is such, you don't have to go through all those things. Sitting in one place, you can take yourself through all that. Everything that you ever want, if everything arrives here right now, you will see still you're not fulfilled. So, people know that no matter what longing looks like, my life depends on this right now, but if it happens, it is not the important thing, it's the next thing. So…
Greed.
Don't call it greed, it is longing to expand, longing to become free from one boundary to another boundary to another boundary. But what people don't realize is, most people, but in this culture, unfortunately, this many people are coming wanting to attain mukti, that means there is some realization that they're looking for ultimate expansion, but in installments. It's like you want to get to infinity and you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You think if you count fast, you will get there. No, you will only become endless counting. This is all that's happening to life. So this many people longing for mukti means they have realized all those things are fine, but they will never fulfill us. So looking for liberation, looking for mukti, there is no culture or civilization like this, and this will be the future of the world. When I say this, not in terms of Mahakumbh, longing for freedom will become the ultimate future of the world, because tickets to heaven, next generation don't want to buy. The pleasures that the heaven offers, they are not interested in that. If you ask your next generation, you want to go to heaven, they will ask, is there free Wi-Fi? They are not interested in other things that they are offering. So I'm saying, heaven is no more an attraction for the younger generation, and for future generation it is not at all. So ultimately, the world will look this way, what we refer to as Sanatan, because we must understand Sanatan is not one more religion. Sanatan means eternal. Nothing can ever be eternal without being all-inclusive. So, the very nature of the culture is that it does not talk about absolutism. This is the way, there is no such thing. You can go this way, you can go this way, everything is fine with us. You can worship any god you want, in the same house 25 gods you can worship, no god in your house, that also is fine. The important thing is you are seeking liberation. When I say you are seeking liberation, this is not an idea that has to be taught to you. See, if you take an insect and try to hold it will try to break free. I'm saying every life is trying to become free in its own way. But their awareness and intelligence and consciousness is in such a way, they will seek only physical breakthroughs. But once you become human being, your intelligence has evolved, your consciousness has evolved to a point, if you sit here, let us say you're only 15 years of age right now, you sit here, you can think through your whole life, what are all the things I will do? Even if I become the king of this planet, what is next? Means you will realize that ultimately you want to become free from everything.
Today, there is opposition about the Kumbh, that why do you need to go there? It has been hijacked by a political party. What do you think about this surround sound that happens?
See, nobody ever forced somebody to go to Kumbh. Somebody doesn't want to go, it's fine. Freedom can't be forced upon you. We can force you into a prison. We can't force you into freedom, isn't it? Mukti cannot be forced upon you, bondage can be forced upon you. So, they don't want to, it's fine. Or maybe they're fine without Kumbh, that is also fine with me. I'm fine even without the Kumbh, because for me, see, we must look at it this way. When we say Amrit, it's Amrutam, anyway you Hindi people chopped off the last part. It's Amrutam in Sanskrit.
Why are we creating language wars here?
It's not a war. See, all languages in India except Tamil, everything comes from Sanskrit as a base. So as close to the original that you are, it's better because that is a real expression. Amrutam, it is.
I welcome you to Punjab one of these days.
No.
We change everything there, even further than Hindi.
So, in Telugu, Kannada, they made it Amruta. You cut it further and make Amrut. So I'm just saying it's Amrutam. This Amritam means it's the elixir of life, that which generates life. What generates life? See, you and me are sitting here. We were not born like this, we were born like this. How did we become like this? Just eating the food that we are eating, the breath and the water and the air, we just became like this. There is amritam here. Only thing is you're unconscious of that. So the whole spiritual sadhana is about taking a dip in that on a daily basis. So I dip here every day, every moment if I need. So I have no need to come here, but I come here because this is for the masses who don't have such practices, certain sense of focus. For ordinary people who don't know anything, they need a ritual with which they can do. We must understand this. All these akaras, the sadhus, sannyasis come here not for their own dip. Of course, they don't want to miss the chance, they will do it. But in the past, they came here because this is where they all assembled once in 12 years and they looked at what's happening in the society. It is the sadhus and sannyasis who gave mores and codes and laws for the country. Kings only enforced it. Or in today's language, if we have to talk, they spoke the constitution. Enforcement was done by the kings, the Kshatriyas did the enforcement. But it is these people who observed life for 12 years and said, this is what is wrong with your society, this is what should be done. They all assembled here. Everybody came for their blessing and they advised. Because there was no written constitution, they gave verbal constitution, this is what you must do in your kingdom. And it was enforced by the kings. So this congregation of sadhus here is not for their own thing, they have their own practices to do, but to offer this to the world, which is important. So I come here just as my solidarity with the event.
What would you say to those who today say, Ram teri Ganga maili ho gayi? The water is not good, the Ganga is not good,
Well,
the Yamuna is not good.
It is definitely not as good as it was. We have to make it better. In the last 4-5 years, it's much better because over 100 treatment plants have been set up. The towns which were directly letting their sewage into the thing has all been stopped. The tanneries which were polluting seriously have been stopped. In the last 7 years, Yogi ji has done wonders for Ganga. The Namami Gange project, which has 4 branches in it, they have done wonders to it. Is it enough? No. Lot more has to be done because this is very, very important. Ganga basin accounts for 26% of India's land and 33% of India's agriculture. If you don't protect this, you won't protect the nation.
Are you being political when you say this? When you say Yogi ji has done a lot, are you worried that the opposition is going to go after you कि Ganga अभी भी मैली है, Sadhguru ji को नजर नहीं आ रहा है?
I know the Ganga is not as it was 100 years ago. But in the last 10 years, has it improved? Definitely it's improved. Nobody can say no. Ask the people who are living along the thing. I don't go by newspapers or news channels or anything for this kind of thing, I'm saying. Because you don't swim in Ganga, I swim in Ganga and I know how it is.
But politicians do say that
See,
Namami
they will say, but
Ganga
I'm not a political party, nor am I standing for an election, so they shouldn't bother what I say. Because in the country, if everybody thinks in terms of political correctness and nobody speaks the truth, then this country will not go anywhere.
There is such a fight about the constitution itself. There is one side in our country that is talking about saving the constitution is in danger. You are saying that sadhus actually bring the wisdom of the world of what needs to be done. Is there in our constitution, in the manner in which we are running our country, enough voice of those people being heard so that what the society needs can be got through that route?
See, I use the word constitution with a certain reference. See, in those days, just go back 3,000, 4,000 years ago. See, people who had maximum connect with the geography and the demographic were the sadhus and sannyasis because they wandered across the land. In the summers, they moved to the Himalayas. In the winters, they moved down to Rameshwaram. So they travelled across the country. So after 12 years of travel like that, walking, that means they met everybody, they stayed in people's homes and huge contact. They were the only people. In a way, they were doing your job, media job, Today media is supposed to have contact, but those days they are the people. So when they brought back their feedback, this is what is happening, because it was not politically one nation, there were many nations, many kings. So when they came back, among themselves they shared, in this kingdom this is happening, in this kingdom adharma is happening, in that kingdom crime is happening, in this kingdom this happened, that happened, like this. So when they come once in 12 years, they congregated here, and the kings and the people, everybody came. Here they told them, see, in your kingdom this is what is the problem, you need to fix this. They did not see constitution as a concrete block. They saw constitution as an evolving process, because life is an evolving process. This is why we separated what is called as Shruti and Smruti. What this means is, there are certain aspects of life which concerns with our inner nature, which are absolute. Nobody can change it. 10,000 years ago it's the same thing, today we are the same thing, 1,000 years later we'll be the same thing. But there is so much of human life which is concerned with interactions between you and me, with interactions between us and thousands of other people. This has to evolve constantly. So, it was an ever-evolving constitution. Every 12 years they're reframing it. I want people to understand, even when Bhimrao Ambedkar made the constitution, he clearly said, a whole lot of amendments will be needed to make this relevant. He is openly saying, till people understand what is democracy, that it's an evolving process, there will be no democracy in this country, people will capture power through this and that. This is not happening only in this country, it is happening everywhere now, that the spirit of democracy is gone. Everybody understands the algorithm of democracy. They have analysis. If you go to this village, what to speak? You know, I was studying the US election, the way it's happening. If they go to this state, they will speak this. If they go to that state, they will speak that. If you go to another state, they will speak something else. Because anyway, you don't have to do any of those things. It's only about the election, all right? So there are analysts who are giving you algorithm that this is the thing, in this place, this is what you say, in this town hall you say this, in that town hall you say that. So when this is happening, once in 12 years if we sit down and say what's wrong with our democracy, what should we do, what amendment should we do to fix democracy in its spirit, not in its arithmetic.
Right now the concentration is on arithmetic. It's very interesting that you say that, because the recent Lok Sabha elections, the whole narrative was about A, constitution is in danger, B, there should be a caste census. A caste census, do you think, is going to be advantageous to India?
See, right now, the only reason caste census was relevant was because there are reservations. Reservations are needed in this country for now because of thousands of years of injustice we have done to certain segment of population. Even today, that injustice has significantly come down but not gone. Still in the rural India, it is still rampant. But is it better than what it was 50 years ago? 100%, way better. But is it still bad? Yes, it is bad, just like Ganga. Is it better than 10 years ago? Definitely better. But it is bad? Yes, it is bad. Same goes for our reservation policy, our discriminations and everything. The legal part of equality in the country, we have solved it. That this is not government driven, all right? So the legal part, the constitutional part of equality we've achieved. No human being is more or less, except a few laws are there, we must level that. But mostly it is leveled. But the social equality has not happened. This is transformation in individual human beings. If you discriminate against me, which law can stop you? It cannot stop you, I'm saying, it's just that you have to evolve. People have to evolve. That, I think, will only happen with education and economic development. When economically people are equally capable, then things will level out. So right now you will see people who are heavily discriminated in the village, They move to the city, nobody knows what their caste is, nobody cares. There's no caste census in your apartment building, all right? Only if they do something which is in some way offensive to everybody around, then the question comes up, unfortunately. But that also should become an individual behavior, not a caste-related behavior. So caste is something that happened in the past, we must understand why it came. This was division of labor. See, I don't know how people understand here. If you come to the south, there are chettis, different trades. There is a goldsmith chetti, there is a blacksmith chetti, there's a carpentry chetti, like this. There are numbers, you know, 18 chetti, 18 chettiyar, that means 18 number, 24 number, like this. Because they can't give names, they gave numbers. Different types of trades and craft, they fixed this. Why this was done is, there were no universities and institutes of technology to transmit knowledge. The only way it could happen is from father to son, from within the family. So if I know blacksmithery, I want all my relatives to get the skills from an early age. 8-year-old boy will start doing little help and they pick it up. And you marry only a blacksmith's daughter because she knows what kind of food to cook, she knows all this. So what was the difference? Slowly we made it into a discriminatory process. Now suddenly a goldsmith thinks he's superior to a blacksmith. This is human folly. So what was a system which was created for transmission of knowledge, unfortunately fell into a very ugly discriminatory process, which still continues in the rural India, which must go. The only way it can go is that we don't identify people by caste. We identify people by what they can do and cannot do. And the only way it can go is economic development, which is more broad-based, where everybody benefits, which is beginning to happen. As I said, the per capita has gone up in UP, doubled in 7 years, not a small thing. I'm sure everybody is benefited. Some may be left out, but still, caste is not holding them back anymore. They're able to participate in some
So
way.
the caste census, you're avoiding answering
No,
that.
no, I'm coming
Is
to
it
that.
required?
I'm not avoiding. I'm saying you should stop identifying people by caste, except for those who've been heavily discriminated. To benefit them, we are identifying, not to discriminate them. That identity is needed because reservation policy needs identity, all right? Otherwise everybody will claim it. So, that how long it's needed, we must be able to decide. Even when Bhimrao Ambedkar said this, he thought it's a limited amount of period. 1 generation, we could get them out. But 3 generations, we've not managed. At least in the next 1 or 2 generations, we must get them out of the pit of discrimination, which I feel will happen.
Let me ask you, when people say आज के डेट में कुंभ और ये सब जरूरी नहीं है, रोटी की ज्यादा जरूरत है, what would you say to them?
I don't know who said that. Whoever says
Akhilesh Yadav.
Oh. So people who have been in power, I'm saying, if you are in power for 5 years or 10 years or whatever, if still there is no roti for the people in this country, then you must think what you have done.
He quoted Swami Vivekananda.
Vivekananda did not… I don't know from where it was quoted, I'm not sure what this is. But I'm telling you, Vivekananda said this to the Western people in Chicago. What he said was, you guys are coming and trying to convert us and try to take us to heaven. First provide us the bread that you have taken away from us. Because we didn't have to beg bread from anybody, but unfortunately in 200 years of you being there, we are begging for bread. Make sure we have bread before you take us to heaven. That was the context in which he said it.
There has been a lot of Sanatan slander in recent times. There has been slander. Sanatan has been called all kinds of diseases. There is a slugfest that is currently going on, that this country, every masjid is being dug up to look for temples. The issue of Sambhal is in the eye of the storm. I want to ask you, do you think Sambhal is an important area? 10th Dasha-avatar of Vishnu is what is going to be represented in Sambhal. There is digging. What was said ages ago about 19 coup being there have been found out. Do you think this truth should be buried and remain buried forever?
Well, I don't believe in burying any truth. Truth, it doesn't matter how inconvenient it is for you or me, it must be exposed. Because if you're not willing to look at truth the way it is, you can't build your future in any reasonable way. You will be an accidental life, you will be an accidental nation. That's not what we want for Bharat. We want Bharat to stand on proper foundations. If it has to stand on proper foundations, we should not be afraid of any kind of truth. After seeing what is true, if we are willing to negotiate, if we are willing to pardon each other, if you are willing to exchange things, it's fine with me. But you should not avoid any truth. And Sambal is not necessarily of that origin, that is there, that's one aspect. But everybody knows in 1972, 71, 72 what happened there. And a few hundred people have been killed. And it is well recorded in the political history, in the media, it is well recorded. We want to just bury that and say it didn't happen, this is not good. See, this is very important. It's like this, something happens, it doesn't… don't think in terms of just Hindu, Muslim, whatever. Let's say this group and this group fights, two people die here, or their mother dies, their wife dies, their children die, something happened. Now, once it's out of the news cycle, you reported, you interviewed me, I also said something, it's over. For us, we have moved on to something else. But the guy who lost his child, in his life it's not going to go. You must understand that. Unless these people who, perpetrated these things show some remorse at least, you can't bring back life, at least some remorse, some sense of, compensation. Compensation need not be financial. Something as two human beings, I'm sorry I did this at least.
Closure.
Closure. If you don't do that, then this wound will fester forever. So it's time, because right now India is wanting to rise, in the Committee of Nations we're wanting to rise as a key player in the world. If this has to happen, we should not bury anything.
What about the Places of Worship Act that is brought up every now and then?
I think that is not an act, that's a crime committed against the nation.
You believe it's a crime?
It is a crime, not that I believe it's a crime. When you tell me that I cannot go and find legal recourse for some problem that I have, then where is my democracy? Where is my rights as a citizen? When you say I can't have legal recourse, I may fail in the court, that's a different matter. But I can't go to the court. This is not a law, this is not an act, this is a crime against Indian democracy.
What would you say to the statements that come up that the Kumbh Mela is being held at a land owned by the Waqf, that, the parliament is built on the land owned by the Waqf? Every other day, in your own state of Tamil Nadu, there are 1500-year-old temples and villages that have been taken over because they are built on the Waqf. How do you respond to this?
See, as I said, we are world's 17.6% population and we have world's 4% land. So there is competition for land, all right? This competition, we must… between you and me, you want that real estate, I also want that real estate, we must fight it out commercially or legally. You can't make acts in the parliament in my favor or your favor, and I can take your land and you can take my land, then what is left? Only thing that left is a fight. Don't do that.
So what do you think about the Waqf law?
So, one must understand, Kumbh Mela has been on for many millennia, nobody knows how long. It could be 8,000–10,000 years. I'm saying well before you imagined Islam, it was here. So definitely it can't be Waqf. And whatever these laws are, see, once you make discriminatory laws, you will set up a stage for civil war kind of situation. I'm saying a very strong word. Initially it'll be riots, protests, violence. Ultimately it's civil war, isn't it? Don't take the nation there. We have seen enough violence. In the last 1,000 years, how many massacres, how many…
Wars,
how many millions of rapes, organized rapes, all right? It's not just one man doing something, not a crime, organized stuff. Don't again go there. So don't again go there means, oh, don't raise any old issue. That's not the point. We have the maturity that we can look at what is the truth, then we negotiate. If our negotiation doesn't work, we'll go to the court as per the realities of the thing, as according to the laws of the constitution, where you and me have equal rights and equal level of participating in the legal process. Whoever gets it, gets it.
Today even issues are being raised that there should be evidence, to the number of people coming at the Kumbh. Are we taking up politics to, Akhilesh Yadav has asked, prove that so many people have come here?
I don't want to get into UP politics because I am not as qualified as you. I don't know all the events and details that happen here. All I am saying is, this has been happening for over 10,000 years. Now, it's better organized because the population has increased, the numbers are going into 400, 500 million, all right? 400 million people in one place. If you don't create sufficient facility, organization, it'll be a disaster, all right? So, the last Kumbh also I have been here, it was pretty well managed. This time it's extremely well managed. And I've been talking to the police officer who's in charge of this, he says some 1.5 crore people, which is 15 million people took a dip in one day in one spot without a single incident. So many women, children, not a single incident of any kind of abuse, push, pull, nothing. This is what piety can do, devotion can do to a human being. The same guy, if you meet him somewhere in the cinema theatre, he will behave differently. Here he is like this. It's very important. To transform humanity, it's very important. There are events which inspire all sorts of people to do the right things.
You just had a trip to Delhi and you met very important
I came to
people.
meet you, but you were not there, so…
I was very much there. You didn't choose to meet me. You got 150 policemen visiting Isha Ashram.
That was because of the beauty of the ashram, people want to come there.
Available in turbo petrol, diesel and EV. Tata Curve, the most feature-packed SUV.
Make it gold standard with Amul Gold.
बनाओ गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड वाला मिल्क केक और जस्ट एंजॉय अ ग्लास फुल ब्लेंड करो स्ट्रॉबेरी का मिल्क शेक मेक इट गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड विद अमूल गोल्ड घी में लाओ गोल्डन रिचनेस और दही में पूरी प्योरिटी चाय बनाओ या कॉफी मेक इट गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड विद अमूल गोल्ड शाही पनीर या स्मूदीज रिच खीर या हो दाल मखनी मेक इट गोल्ड स्टैंडर्ड विद अमूल
Get ready to experience the future of India's automobile industry, from powerful performance to breakthrough designs. Auto Expo The Motor Show 2025 is being organized under the aegis of Bharat Mobility Global Expo 2025 by SIAM, ACMA and CII. Visit us at Bharat Mandapam from 19th to 22nd January 2025.
पापा जी, इनिशियल फंड चाहिए होगा बस। मोदी जी ने कहा है आगे स्टार्टअप बहुत बूस्ट होने वाला है।
तो फिर मोदी जी से ही कहिए ना फंड करने को।
प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी ने महिला उद्यमियों के लिए स्टार्टअप के अवसर बनाए, फंड्स दिलाए, सफल हुई तो अवार्ड दिए और बीते कुछ वर्षों में विमेन स्टार्टअप्स न सिर्फ सफल हुए बल्कि कई तो यूनिकॉर्न भी बने। आज करीब 48% स्टार्टअप्स में कम से कम एक महिला डायरेक्टर है।
हमारी बहू का अपना स्टार्टअप है ये, आप भी करने दो।
9 साल बेमिसाल स्टार्टअप।
गॉड, इतना पानी आ गया है।
पापा जी बारिश हो रही है? वाह, छत टपक रही है।
अरे शिफ्ट करने वाले ना पापा, बस घर मिलने की देर है।
तो देर ज्यादा ही नहीं होगी।
हेलो, यू घर है, इसकी शादी नहीं कि बिना एडवाइस के डिसीजन ले लिया।
इसीलिए तो घर मैजिक ब्रिक्स पे देखिए, प्रॉपर्टी की पूरी इन्फॉर्मेशन विद एक्सपर्ट एडवाइस।
और 15 लाख से ज्यादा प्रॉपर्टी ऑप्शंस हैं।
गुड।
तो एटलीस्ट मेरा घर तो लाखों में एक होगा।
चलाने में इतना आराम कि पूछिए मत, और विजिबिलिटी इतनी बढ़िया कि मुझे हमेशा सेफ फील होता है।
इसका बेमिसाल कंफर्ट और मजबूत लोड बॉडी उठाए ज्यादा लोड। टाटा इंट्रागोल्ड पिकअप्स, सक्सेस का मंत्र।
Let me also ask you, Sadhguru ji, about the geopolitical situation. We are seeing wars between Ukraine, Russia.
One stopped yesterday. There's a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza.
Israel and Gaza. But Ukraine and Russia still going on. We're seeing the situation in Bangladesh.
Bangladesh is not war, that's a different situation.
It's a coup, but look at how Hindus have been at the receiving end in Bangladesh. We're seeing even the entire narrative, the discourse getting coarser and coarser. How do you see this going forward?
Discourse getting coarser, definitely happening. Coarseness has become the in thing. Refinement is out, coarseness is in. So it becomes a much more responsibility for all the sensible people in a country or in the world to refine the discourse as much as possible. As much as possible, because there are events which can't be refined. Refinement does not mean hiding behind something. Refinement means I say it in your face, but I say it without abusing you, without being violent with you. I still say what I want to say. So for everything somebody says, we'll burn the country. What is that?
Well, Rahul Gandhi has said that the BJP is putting kerosene all over the country.
Even if there is kerosene, you shouldn't light a match if there is kerosene. So I don't want to get into the political discourse, but I am saying, right now you mentioned Bangladesh. See, Bangladesh is not today's problem. Even before independence, in 1946, what happened there was super terrible, all right? Documented, in those days documentation was not good. Documented over 20,000 rapes. Abducted, raped and converted, 20,000. Over 60,000 escaped across to Assam, Bengal and other things. Then came 72. From 47 to 72, terrible things have happened on a daily basis. They imposed tax for not being Muslim, but they were a democracy, supposed to be at least. And we did nothing about it. We thought it's not our business, anyway it's their business. But then their business didn't work, it cracked up. That 71, 72, documented rapes are 1,20,000. 200,000, that is 2 lakh people massacred, killed. And 6 million people crossed over to India. So this is how 22% became 8% today. And continuously some of the university professors' studies are showing that daily 630 Hindus cross over. This means in a year about nearly 250,000 people cross over, every year. So this has been happening. Before 47, what happened? Not in your control. Whatever happened, happened. We can't fix all that. Even between 47 and 72, let's say it was not in our control, but it was actually. In 72, total breakdown happened, we interfered, we got this thing going. But we always kind of end up delivering half babies. The fact of the matter was, historically when you look at it, let's say 100 years later, if you look at what happened, India was partitioned into 3 pieces, not 2, 3. Among these 3 pieces, the partition didn't work, it collapsed. When it collapsed, we should have gone back to the way we were. They want autonomy, they want this, that, something we should have worked out. But instead of that, we liberated and left that country as if everything is going to be okay. And we thought our great Mujibur Rahman will always be worshipped like we worship our father of the nation. But that's not the truth. What happened? He was assassinated and his daughter would have been lynched if she was just few minutes late. Yes? She just escaped. Otherwise she would be lynched publicly. If just 20 minutes late if she was, it would have been over. Yes. So we must understand, and I would also say from 72 to 24, media also has done a tremendous disservice to us because they never brought… See, right now all this is happening in Bangladesh. Through this period I was in United States. Not a word in any of the Western media, not a word. You understand? The only person who spoke was the president-elect now. Otherwise, not a word in any of the main news channels, this is happening in Bangladesh. Similarly, between 72 and 24, what happened continuously, our media also did not report. Only now when it goes to extreme and there's a change of governance, then we're reporting. Otherwise, I'm saying, even I'm ignorant what all happened. Now I'm looking back and seeing all this happened in our own time and there is nothing. They've lived in terror for the last 70 years. The Hindus in Bangladesh have lived in terror. Western Pakistan has been better than what happened in Bangladesh for the last 70 years. So we just allow these things to happen and we think things will fix themselves. The things don't fix themselves. You learn to live with the problem, that's all. But those who are there, they live in terror on a daily basis. From August 5th to August 20th, 2010 events have happened of violence, of temple burning, homes burning, rapes, killings, all this. How do we just sit here and just allow it to happen right under our noses? And a country that you liberated, they should have been grateful for what we did. They're changing the history. Just like that, they're rewriting the history right in our faces. No, I think this needs a more strategic approach. This is not a thing to be handled with some… what to say, you can't
diplomacy.
Huh? See, diplomacy is always needed, you don't want to go to war with somebody, but action is needed in some way. I am not saying action means military action alone. Action is needed. One way or the other, this problem has to be fixed. There are many ways, I've already suggested some ways, which is not for discussion, but…
When? With whom? You just had a trip to Delhi and you met very important
I came to meet you, but you were not there, so…
I was very much there. You didn't choose to meet me. You chose to meet the Home Minister, you chose to meet the Law Minister. What was going on behind the scenes?
No, nothing. I met the Agriculture Minister, not the Law Minister, because we are trying to implement the soil policies in the south. So…
And with the Home Minister? The press release said it was some spiritual discussion. I want to know exactly how spiritual.
Civilizational aspects like Mahakumbh, Mahashivratri, like this.
I'm looking for liberation and greater knowledge. Right here and on the Ganga you cannot refuse to share.
About Bangladesh, see, essentially, personally, I am not against any human being on the planet. Let everybody do whatever they want to do. I have no issue. Everybody need not be saying Har Har Mahadev to me. They can do whatever they want. But what you do, don't ever believe is absolute, and what somebody else does is wrong. This one thing you must take it away. But that's not taken away. That must be taken away. So is everybody who is belonging to a certain religion are like that? No. I have so many very close friends who are, reasonably devout Muslims, may not be fanatical, but reasonably devout Muslims, wonderful people. I have known them for a very, very long time. But the problem is somewhere, somehow I don't know what percentage, I don't want to fix a percentage, let's say 5–10%, maybe little extreme, others may be level-headed, but the so-called moderate Muslim unfortunately has not found their tongue, not have the intellectual resilience to stand up and say, what our own people are saying is wrong. They must say that. Otherwise, everybody get
Colored
blocked
in
in
the
that.
same.
Yes, they
Right.
fall into the same bracket. That should not happen. You don't want to put a whole community into that bracket extremism. So recently it happened in Coimbatore. The Coimbatore blast, of course, you must have reported at that time. I don't know if you came to Coimbatore?
I didn't come, but
Yeah,
yes, we
yeah.
reported it.
So, 63 people I think got killed. One particular image stood in everybody's mind in Coimbatore. I was in Coimbatore at that time. One 6-year-old girl, 6 or 7-year-old girl, she was standing with her father in a medical store to buy something. When the blast went off, the girl went and got stuck in the ceiling. That image just went all over, people burned, their hearts burned, this little girl, what does she know? And the way she was stuck to the ceiling. It could be anybody's child, that's not the point. A child. A child doesn't belong to anybody, child belongs to the world. But now, that guy who is not just accused, who's convicted, all political parties eager to pardon him and release him because he's unwell. Then somehow, without public attention, they get a bail for him and he's been outside and he died outside. When he dies, some 8 to 10,000 people gather and police protection of 1,500 policemen are provided to see the event go smoothly. I don't get that for my Mahashivratri. I have not caused any violence anywhere. I won't get 1,500 policemen supporting everything, they are supporting…
In fact, you got 150 policemen visiting Isha Ashram.
That was because of the beauty of the ashram, people want to come there.
No, they said that, there was a habeas corpus, ultimately the matter went to Supreme Court, but…
No, leave that. I'm saying over 8,000 people gather. Now what happens in people's minds? This man who killed 63 people, without bothering who is a man, woman, child, see, killing random people. Somebody went and killed their enemy. I'm not saying it's right, but there is something to it. Just killing random people that you don't know takes a different kind of heart, all right? This man, his funeral, 8,000–10,000 people gather. So now what is happening in everybody's minds? You're suspicious of everybody, all those 10,000 people and their families. Don't do this. Don't do this, it's not good for anybody. It's very important the Muslim community, the educated part of Muslim community has the intellectual resilience to stand up and say what's wrong is wrong. They must do that. Otherwise, they'll get bracketed with some extreme nutcases. It's not that we don't have our share, but we openly say, this is not it.
What would you say to those who say that the fight is not against the BJP, the RSS, the fight is against the Indian state because all institutions have been taken over by the present government?
See, it is the present government of any time which must handle the institutions. I don't know what's wrong with that. Are they misusing it? If they are misusing it, that is why the courts are there. Don't make laws where you can't go to court or I can't go to court. So, should the present government handle the institutions? Obviously, that is the reason why they get elected. Otherwise, where is the power to handle things? Where is the power to transform? Where is the power to make a difference in the country? No, they have to take charge of institutions. Are they misusing it for their own benefit, not the benefit of the people? If it is so, that is why there are courts. If you don't trust the court also, let's talk about reforming the court. Don't talk about not going to the court. Don't talk about taking away the rights of going to
But to say
legal
you're against
recourse.
the Indian state, does it completely defy the whole process of nation building?
I don't think it's meant in that context. It may be just lack of language or understanding. But I don't think anybody is thinking of being against the Indian state. Maybe some people believe that by making dramatic statements they will have an impact. But I don't think anybody who is really into wanting to run the Indian state, at least having a dream of running the Indian state, can say I am against the Indian state.
Mohan Bhagwat ji has said, you know, that we may have got political independence in 1947, August 15, but pratishtha or the self-pride that we got actually came with the Ram Mandir. Do you agree with that statement?
See, in this country, people who realize something, enlightened beings, for example, are called Dvijas. Dvija means twice born. My mother gave birth to me. I was one kind of human being. Then at some point, I was kind of reborn. Everything about me changed. So I say I was born on this day, not on that day. It also makes me younger, okay?
I would like to put a date to my
Now, if my mother protests, I gave birth to you on this day, how can you say you were born on that day? Well, it's a misunderstanding on her part. I am not saying she did not deliver me. I am saying consciously I moved into another place, which is like a complete rebirth to me. So similarly, if somebody says a certain event which is of paramount importance to them, they say this is like a new independence for us, I don't see what is the controversy about it, because this is a culture where this is the kind of expression we find to life.
Well, Sadhguru ji, we live in a country that's so colorful. There are so many faiths, there is so much color, and controversies bring the additional color to our existence. I today have had the singular pleasure of having your attention in such a pious
I'm struggling on the river trying to go somewhere, but I'm anchored with you.
Anchored. Well, the boat is rowing, and if not literally, then figuratively. I've been trying to be the navik of this boat, but on the Ganga, to be in conversation with you, to get the enlightenment, I wonder if I can call this Dvija. That will make me really young today, but it is a totally new experience, and with your blessings, I hope our viewers also today share what I have shared with you.
I would like to appeal to all Indians, no matter who you are, you believe something, you disbelieve something, it doesn't matter. Everybody in this country at least, if not from rest of the world, must come and experience this space, because it's the most incredible human space that you can find, where 400 million people gather in one place for one purpose: liberation. Liberation, mukti. Let's make it happen.
Namaskaram, and thank you very much for joining me on this very, very special episode. Thank you.